hello. I had a few technical difficulties a moment ago, but I think I got it together. So, good morning, and thank you for joining me for the podcast of the True Power from Within. I do pray each and every day that this podcast touches you in the most amazing and encouraging way. So, today I want to talk about being fruitful in the pruning season. And this can cover a multitude of topics as far as mindset, heart, body, soul. It can just encompass a whole lot of things. So I want to come out of the book of John, chapter 15, starting at verse 1. So it says, I am the true vine. My Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that does not make fruit, and he trims and cleans every branch that makes fruit so that it will make even more fruit. You are already clean because of the teaching I have told you. Continue in me, and I will continue in you. No branch can make fruit alone. It must continue in the vine. And in the same with you. You cannot make fruit alone. You must continue in me. So the real verse that I really want to focus on today is that it is the one that says, continue in me and I will continue in you. No branch can make fruit alone. It must continue. But also you are already clean because of the teaching I have told you. Hold on. Every branch that makes fruit so that it will make even more fruit. Okay, so that was a little confusing, but let me explain. Here's the thing. We can make lots of fruit, okay? And for example, just say you go to the store and you buy a whole lot of fruit and you say, I'm going to eat all this fruit this week. But you buy an overabundance of fruit and what happens? It goes bad, right? And you end up throwing it away. It's the same thing with our lives. A lot of times we bear so much fruit, right? And we want all of this fruit and we don't want to let go of any of it, right? But eventually things in life, our fruit, begin to not serve us anymore, right? But we're so busy trying to hold on to it while God is trying to prune it. All right? Because here's the kicker. We can live without the fruit. We cannot live without the vine. We cannot live without the roots. And the vine and the roots, that is God, right? We need those roots. We need that vine to survive. We can survive without the fruit. We can flourish without the fruit. But sometimes God is intending to prune us, yet we want to hold on to all the fruit, even though it is no longer serving us. Just like a plant, I'll use mine as an example, my tomato plants. My dad, he pruned a bunch of my tomato plants. He says, you have to prune these, right? So he pruned the tops of them because they weren't producing a lot of tomatoes. He pruned the tops of them. Within a week, them things exploded, not producing tomatoes, but I mean, they grew so tall that they're almost as tall as my fence at this point. Okay. So the plant is still surviving without producing tomatoes, right? It's still thriving without producing the fruit of the plant. And that's the same with us. We can still survive without producing the fruit, but we cannot survive without the vine and the roots. And I want to talk about for a moment that God is trying to prune you in this season, right? He's trying to prune you because he wants to prune you so that you can produce more fruit. If you've ever pruned a plant, right? If you prune it or you it gets so tall, you cut the tops of it off and it's going to blow up and it's going to produce more fruit. And that's the same in our lives, right? God has to prune things from us. He has to, prune our minds. He has to prune our hearts. He has to prune our surroundings. He has to prune the people that are in our lives that are no longer serving us anymore. He prunes these things, right? because oftentimes we're weighed down with the fruit that we have already that's existing in our lives, and we're so weighed down with it, we can't grow anymore. We can't produce abundance anymore. We can't grow our business anymore, right? So I like to always say that this in our lives, and in even with fruit or plants, this is a moment where we become complacent, right? Or a plant will stop growing, it will stop producing, right? Because it's got so much fruit, and the vines are so big that the root system is not big enough, right? I have a bell pepper plant out there that when I put it in the ground, it was this tall, right? It's been in the ground since spring, and it's only this tall. And it's produced like two excuse me, 2 or 3 bell peppers, but they were very, very tiny, right? Because its root system is not big enough for it to grow, right? So something in there has stopped the growth of the root system. Rather, the bell peppers are draining all of the energy from the plant because it's not big enough. Then it's not growing. And that's the same thing in our lives. And I hope I'm making sense, because it's the same thing in our lives. We say, God, give us all this fruit. We want the fruit, the fruit, the fruit, right? Please give us, our new car, or a new house, or more money, or a promotion, or a new business, or, whatever this is, right? Give us all this fruit. And we have it. But when we have it, right? Some of it begins to get old. Some of it begins to wilt. Some of it begins to turn dark or go rotten, right? And that's the fruit that's no longer serving us anymore. That fruit could represent people around you. That fruit could represent your family sometimes, right? Because sometimes our families will weigh us down, right? And tell us that we can't do something, or we're crazy for dreaming those big dreams, right? So we allow those to weigh us down. Also, our mindset, right? All the negative self-talk that we have, the unforgiveness, the bitterness, the resentment, the lack of faith, the distractions, all of those pieces of fruit begin to weigh us down. Because all of us, we all want the fruit, right? We all want the fruit, but we don't always want the vine and the roots, meaning God. We want all that God has for us, but we don't want God. We don't want to take time to get up every day and pray, or read the word, or meditate, right? We don't have time. We busy ourselves with so much other stuff, and we say, "Oh, we don't have time. I don't have time to pray this morning. I don't have time to do personal development this morning. I don't have time to read this morning." But in reality, you do have time. It's because of all the other fruit that has been produced that is rotten, that you are allowing to serve you, when God is saying, I'm trying to prune you to produce more fruit. I'm trying to prune you and get your attention here so that I can do something bigger in your life. But sometimes we have so much fruit that is no longer serving us, that we don't have room enough to receive the new fruit, the better fruit, the more abundant fruit, the sweeter fruit that God is trying to give us in our lives, because we're so distracted with the old rotten fruit. We want to keep growing and growing and growing, but God is saying, I'm trying to prune you because I want your branches to be massive, right? I want you to produce so many branches in your life. Right now, you have one branch going straight up with a few leaves on you. You're not healthy. I need to prune you. Pruning sometimes in our eyes looks like we're losing things, right? We are so clinch on to the fruit that we have, because we say, God, if I let go of this, then I'm losing something. If I let go of the bitterness or resentment, that could leave me vulnerable to the people that hurt me. If I let go of the job that's no longer serving me, God, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. Oh God, there's a bigger opportunity here, but I'm scared because I don't know how to do that, or I can't do that. We make so many excuses of why we need to hang on to fruit that's no longer serving us. We have so many excuses, yet we say, right? We're all over social media talking about the faith that we have. We're talking to our friends about God, and we're doing all of these things, but we don't have the faith to believe that in this season of pruning, right? Even though God is cutting back some of that fruit that's no longer serving you, we have to trust and have faith and know that when He is pruning us, He's getting us ready for something bigger. He's getting us ready for something better. We think pruning is bad. We think losing things is bad. We think letting go of people that don't serve us anymore is bad. It's not bad. Right? Because we can do without the fruit for a season, but we cannot do without God. God is our roots. He is our vine. He is the one that feeds us. He is the one that waters us. He is the one that originally planted the seed, right? Because we all have a purpose. Sometimes when God has a will for our lives and we're going through the motions, and we have a job, or we have an unforgiveness, or we have a bitterness or a resentment, or we're stuck in complacency, right? We're getting stagnant. God's saying, let me just prune this. Let me prune this. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. And you begin to lose faith because you think that you're losing things that you need. But when God says be faithful in the pruning season, because you can do without the fruit. You can't do without the vine. You don't have to be fruitful at every season. Trust me in the moment, in the season that I'm pruning you, because I need to get rid of some things so that I can mass produce in your life. But sometimes we don't want to do that. We'd rather drag around all the fruit that no longer serves us in our life, because it's easier than letting go of it. It's easier than having faith to know that God is going to see you through, right? If He's trying to remove something from you, that means He's trying to replace it with something better. But you've been distracted by the old fruit for so long, you can't see what He's trying to do. You can't see that He's trying to mass produce in your life. But in order to do that, He's got to get rid of some of those branches that aren't serving you anymore. He needs to get your attention, because your attention is on the fruit that's no longer serving you anymore. Your attention is on the bitterness and the resentment and the distractions of life. And He's saying, look, I got to cut this branch off. I need to get rid of this unforgiveness. I need to get rid of this bitterness. I need to get rid of this resentment. I need to get rid of this job. I need to do all of these things for you in this season, because I need to get your attention. You're focused on the things of the world, and you've totally forgot about who has supplied those for you for all these years. You forgot who blessed you with that fruit in the first place. You forgot that I'm the one that God's saying that I'm the one that gave you the new car. I'm the one that gave you the new house. I'm the one that gave you that job in the first place. If I gave it to you, do you not think I could give you a better one? But we get beside ourselves because, those very things that we prayed for, that fruit that we prayed for, right? Which was the new car or the house or the apartment or the job or whatever it was, right? Lord, I need to forgive this person. And He says, okay, let's do this. God, I need to get rid of the bitterness. Okay, let's do this. Let me prune you in this season so you can mass produce in the next season. But it's easier for us to hold on to that. It's easier for us to make excuses of why we can't allow God to prune us, why we need to hold on to this or hold on to that, or be in a job that doesn't serve us anymore, or um, be in a business that doesn't serve us anymore. We are so dead set on holding on to the old fruit, even though it's rotted and dead. We're so adamant about staying where we are because we're comfortable. And we're so good at making excuses of why we cannot rather than why we can. We have so much faith on social media. We have so much faith when we're talking to our friends. But when God gets us alone and says, all right, this is the pruning season. Are you going to be faithful while I'm trying to work in you? You're going to be faithful when I'm sending people your way to help you? Are you going to be open to the help? Are you going to be open to the new opportunities? Are you going to be open to helping someone? Or are you going to hold on to that old fruit that you've been holding on to for 10 years that's no longer serving you? In fact, it's rotten and it stinks. And God's been trying to get rid of it for years, but you're too busy holding on to it because you think it's going to serve you at some point. You think that bitterness is just going to go away. You just think that the person that hurt you is just going to all of a sudden one day say, I'm so sorry. But sometimes those days don't come. Sometimes it's our job to say, God, I'm going to trust in you in this season because, I know that you're trying to do something big, but I know that I've got to let go of some things first. I know you're trying to bless me with everything that I'm asking for, but I'm too busy and I'm too full, holding on to all of the old, that you can't prune me so that I can produce in abundance. God is saying, let me prune you in this season. Let me just cut off those few branches that are no longer serving you. It's not a loss. It's not a setback. It's a breakthrough in the making. It's a harvest in the making. It's an abundance in the making. But you're so busy holding on to all of that stuff that's no longer serving you that you can't see anything but loss. You can't see anything but bitterness. You can't see anything but resentment. You can't see anything but you being stagnant. You can't see anything else because you're surrounded by dead fruit. You've been dragging around this dead fruit for 10 years. Or 8 years, or 5 years, or 2 years, or whatever it is. And you know it's not serving you. You know that it's heavy. You know that it's rotten and it stinks, but yet you still want to hold on to it. You still don't want to have the faith to believe if I take one step, God's going to take two. But I want to tell you today, because God is trying to do something in your life. He's trying to produce more fruit. He's trying to show you new opportunities. He's trying to show you true happiness and freedom. But you have to get out of the fear. You have to get out of the negative mindset. You have to get out of the complacency and say, God, shake me up a little bit. Prune the branches. I'm ready to mass produce. I know, Lord, I've been dragging this stuff around for years, but Lord, I'm ready. I'm ready for you to prune me. I'm ready for you to show me this better fruit, this sweeter fruit, the fruit in my life of purpose and intention and joy and peace. I'm ready for that, Lord. But he cannot do that until you're willing to let go of the things that are no longer serving you. It may look dark for a season. It may look like you have a lack of something in a season. But God says, when I prune you, when I get rid of these things, when you begin to 100% fully rely on me and trust that what I'm trying to do in your life is for your good, you're going to mass produce. Remember, we can do without the fruit, but we can't do anything without God. God gave us a seed. He has allowed us to grow. He has allowed us to, be a convicted felon and come out and an addict and be sober, right? He's allowed us to see that success is possible. But sometimes he gives you something for a season. It's not meant to stay with you for 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20 years. He shows you something in a season, but it's not intended for you to stay there. You're not supposed to camp out in that season. He says, I'm showing you some things. I'm showing you what I can do. I'm showing you the purpose. I'm showing you that you can have joy. I'm showing you that you can have freedom. I'm showing you that you can stay sober. I'm showing you that you can let go of the bitterness and the resentment and the trauma, and you can let go of all of these things. But are you going to truly let go? Are you going to truly get up every day and say, God, here I am, and pray and spend time with him and have a relationship with him? Or are you going to say, God, I'm so sorry today. I'm too busy, and keep dragging around that rotten old fruit that's been smelling for 20 years? It's time to stop making excuses of why you can't do something and start making excuses of why you can. Stop making excuses of why everything around you is burning to the ground. Or, oh gosh, I'm losing this and I'm losing this and I don't have the money for this. Let God prune the things in your life that are no longer serving you so that you can grow and produce in abundance and have the life that he says that you can have. The only people that hold us back is us. Our minds are flooded every day with so much negativity, when all we have to do is say, God, here I am. I have been trying to do this on my own for years. I can't do it anymore. God, I need you to prune me and get rid of the things in my life that are holding me back, holding me down, and that are no longer serving me for your purpose and for your will. I encourage you today to allow God to prune those things in your life that are no longer serving you. Because he's trying to give you room enough to receive the blessing and the abundance and the joy and the peace and the purpose that he has for you. But you have got to release those things that are holding you down, the things that are holding you back. Because sometimes we're so full of everything else, we don't have room to receive. Our hands are so full that God cannot put a blessing in them. Sometimes our cup is running over with negativity and bitterness and resentment and so many things in our lives that all we can think about is the overflow of the negative stuff. Let him fill you with the living water. Let him fill you with the things that you do not have to worry about if he's going to do it for you, because he's already said in his word he would do it for you. If you cannot make fruit alone, you must continue in me. God is saying he's got you. But you've been trying to do it on your own for so long. You want to have control of everything. You want to control what God takes and what he leaves. You want to control, the bank account. You want to control your daily routine. You want to control your kids. You want to control your bank account. God is saying, look, all I'm trying to do is just do something better in your life. But you've got a death grip on that dead fruit that's no longer serving you. You've collected so much dead fruit. You have a compost pile that you shovel through every day of your life because you don't want to let go. When God is saying, I have so much for you to do in this season, but I need you to let me run the show. And you just sit back and have faith to know that with me being in control, I've got you. It's time to let go of the fruit that's no longer serving you. It's time to allow God to prune those things out of your life, because once he prunes you, he can mass produce in your life. So today I encourage you to let go of the things that are no longer serving you. Have faith to know that God is in this season, he's preparing you for a blessing. He's preparing you for something bigger. He just needs you to pay attention. He needs you to let go of the dead things in your life, because he's trying to bring so much life into you, so much joy, so much peace, so much love. Some of us have been asking for a blessing for 20 years, but we can't get that blessing if we're holding on to what's old. We can't get the blessing if we don't allow the vine to be pruned. So today, I just encourage you to take an inventory today. Take inventory. Look at the things around you that are no longer serving you. Look at the dead fruit that's in your life and say, okay, I need to get rid of these things. And a lot of it has to do with our mindset. Because you can talk yourself out of a blessing. You can talk yourself out of abundance. You can talk yourself out of joy. So today, take an inventory. And trust and know that just because you feel like you're losing something, God is saying you're gaining something. You're gaining fruit. But I cannot produce more fruit in your life if you're carrying around the dead fruit. So today, this is what I'm saying to you. Take inventory. Get rid of the fruit that's no longer serving you. Get rid of the stagnant water and allow him to fill you with living water. God is not going to fail you. It may be uncomfortable. It may hurt. It may feel like you're in a dark place. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. Just because you're in a valley does not mean that you're not going to be on top of the mountain. You have to speak life into yourself. You have to speak life into your situation. You have to speak life into those things that you've been asking God for. But you also have to allow him to prune you so that you have room enough to receive what he is trying to give you. So today, I pray that you will do an inventory. I pray that you will acknowledge that you can do without the fruit for a season, but you cannot do without the vine. You cannot do without the roots. That is God, and you need him in every area of your life. You need him more and more every single day because he's trying to show you some things. He's trying to produce some things. He's trying to move some things around. He's trying to give you the financial blessing. He's trying to give you the new job or the new business opportunity. He's trying to give you all of these things, but you have to let go of what was so that you can walk into what is. Because God's plan for your life is so much greater than your own. So today I encourage you to trust in him, lean on him, allow him to prune you in this season so that he can mass produce in the next. So I do hope and pray today that I made sense. I hope I added value to your life today. If I did, please go ahead and share this to your social media. And again, I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.